And we're live. Sunday Fun Day, week 2. Got co-host with me is Kyle again. Kyle Daly, Breaker Chains.
Hello, Guy. Thanks for having me.
It was a pleasure. Thank you for stepping up when couldn't get Senor Betancourt and Gary Hilliard to join us today. They're going to be here next week. So let's
Well, the
just
show must go on,
it
so.
must. So let's just get right in here. Your brother is number 1 in the power rankings this week. He jumped up, surpassing a Burns 1 IP. Ariel was number 1 last week. Do you have a
Wow, I
big?
didn't know that.
No, yeah, yeah. Your brother is scoring 183 points per game. Apparently, his playoffs is at 85%. With an overall win record of 13-5. So this year we're a lot closer than last year. Feels
This
like,
is surprising to me after he just lost.
yeah, I don't get it either. But
Ask Dylan, he made the algorithm. Or I guess he didn't really make it, but I
but
blame Dylan.
he is the second in points scored though. Rob would be the first one, and I guess because Rob's first game was so big, Sean's points scored is a little bit more consistent.
Yeah,
So that's probably
I
what
see
it is.
now that Chalupa Batman is 2-0, the only 2-0 team, but has an overall win record of 7-11. So it seems like her
Yes.
competition has been a bit soft.
Yes, she's definitely gotten on the lucky side, just like myself. Um, but yeah, your brother is crushing it at 13-5 right now. 183 points scored. He's number 1. Um, Close right behind him is Rob's got Marshawn Lawrence. He's got the most points scored, but you got to remember that week 1, 230 points, I believe he scored. That was pretty nuts. That'll get your average up, especially when you only have 2 weeks in. And then we got Ariel went from the number 1 spot down to the number 3 spot. His overall win record would be 9-9. And for the people that don't understand, the overall win record is so if you take every single game a week, and that week you play every single other team, that'll be overall win record. So for 2 weeks combined, which is we've played 2 weeks, that's where our overall win record. That's why it's 13-5. It's like considering that you played 18 games, even though you only really played 2. It's just pitting you up against everybody else in the league every week to get that record up.
It's a nice indication of the team's real strength. And I'm sure that Dylan again this year will have a pretty nice overall wins record, but end up facing the highest scoring teams every week and still miss the playoffs.
Oh yeah, he's not doing that hot this year though. Remember like last year when you had a ridiculous overall win record and still going negative?
Yeah. He and I had the same overall win record at 8-10, and we're 8-10 respectively on the power rankings.
Yeah, I don't understand why Dylan's all the way at 10. That's pretty weird. We got look at Holden stepping up at number 4, scoring 179 points. I never thought I would live to see this day that like Holden's actually playing good fantasy football.
It seems that auction draft is Holden's boon, really, to playing well. Like, he can draft whoever the fuck he wants.
Yeah,
He doesn't have to worry about ADP. As long as he can at least manage a $200 budget,
yeah,
he can make his team as he desired. So,
yeah. He's playing pretty well. He's definitely doing a lot better than me. And then we have Chalupa Batman, which has been the luckiest team so far. It's the only 2-0 team. We have one 2-0 team, one 0-2 team, and everybody else is 1-1. So Chalupa is the first undefeated team, or the only undefeated team, and she's only scoring 155 points per game. So overall 7-11. Would have lost most of her games, but somehow came out with perfect record for real.
Is it top 6 teams make the playoffs?
Top six, yeah. So
Hmm.
only four teams get
So
lose
she's
one.
still holding on to a playoff berth. 74% odds of making the playoffs at this point. Below her, House of Priapism in sixth. Just a 31% chance of making the playoffs right now.
Yep. And he's also got a good team. He's 164 points per game. And again, it's only 2 weeks
Ha-
worth of data, so
he had a good team.
no more Antonio Brown.
For the first 2 weeks, he had a good team, and it seems as if everything is collapsing around him.
Yeah. The 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 algorithm is giving him a rest of season roster strength at 9, so he's got the second worst roster strength.
He should rename his team to House of Flaccid Penises.
Oh man, House of ED. I come in at number 7. I finally came through with a win last week. I scored just about as many points as I did week 1. Still got lucky. Still got the win, which is good. It's good that I'm squeaking by a little victories here and there. I'm gonna need them.
Algorithm likes your playoff odds more so than mine or anyone else really in this range,
Yeah,
but you're only 5-13
yeah.
in overall.
I think it's ranking my roster as the number 4 roster strength, so it thinks that I have a really good roster, and even though my team hasn't quite performed, it thinks it'll be able to perform in the future. So that's where it's getting that from. Whereas your team has a roster strength of 7, even though you scored more points than I have, at 149 points per game, and better overall win record, of course, 8-10. So yeah, but you're still right there. It's saying you got a 50-50 chance of making the playoffs.
Yeah, the algorithm doesn't really like inconsistent teams per se.
Yeah.
Uh, and this is exactly where I was last year, though. I was up and down, up and down. I had some of the most explosive weeks and some of the worst,
Mm-hmm.
uh, like within a 4 week span, you know. So I'm totally comfortable with that, and I'll let the algorithm say what it will. But within a week or two, you'll see where the truth lies.
Right. And then it's got Trophy Chasers at number 9. Playoff record, I believe that's the lowest playoff record at 23%. Same record as me on the overall, the 5-13. 151 points per game, but it really, really hates your roster. It says you have the worst roster in the league at number 10. And I think we've all shit on your roster. Like, so I don't know. It might be right, might be wrong.
We have more shit to throw your way as well this week, so batten down the hatches.
Josh, you really got to come on the podcast, man. You got to come defend yourself.
Defend your honor.
Seriously, we talk a lot of shit about you, man. And then we got Dylan, a Devil's Triangle, a drinking game. It's a great name, by the way, Kyle.
Thank you.
He's got the 51% playoff records as well, even though he's the only losing team. He's 0-2. Overall win of 8-10, 166 points per game. Again, that a lot of that comes from that week 1 where he scored a lot of points and still managed to lose because he was up against Martial Law, which as of now has the record for the highest points scored ever in our league from that week 1 win.
Wow.
Yeah, but likes your team though. Number 3, rest of season roster strength. So it's looking pretty good.
That's impressive. I'm curious as to who was on his bench that makes the algorithm really love his roster.
Who are we looking at?
On Dylan's. Yeah. So he's got Latavius Murray, Devontae Freeman, DK Metcalf, Alshon Jeffrey, Golden Tate, Austin Hooper. It's not a bad bench. I don't see how that is. That can't be the strongest, though. I mean, the top
I
3,
think it's worried
maybe.
about Austin Eckler. If you see his number 1 performer in Austin Eckler, who's the number 1 RB in fantasy football this year, I don't think that's going to hold up, especially if Melvin Gordon comes back. So
Hmm.
I think it's worried about players regressing. Like Dalvin Cook is the number 2 running back. Austin Eckler's the number 1. It's probably thinking that these players are just having a hot start and they will regress. Um, and I think that's where he's being penalized.
Hmm. Yeah.
And then also 2 quarterback league, and he had just lost Big Ben, so he's running Phillip Rivers and Baker Mayfield, which are both QB2s at the moment. And Baker Mayfield doesn't even make it as a QB2 in our league. So
Yeah, with quarterbacks right now, I have a feeling that some things will shake out a little differently in the coming weeks, especially
yeah,
with an offense as highly touted as the Browns are. I mean, Baker, he was the answer last year. He was really
he was really good.
talented
He was really good.
in small sample, but he definitely showed up, and now he has all these weapons. I mean, we saw what they did against the Jets in a really lopsided game, and OBJ has that talent to take one to the house. You get 1 or 2 of those a game, Baker's going to be helped a lot by his supporting cast. So I have a feeling that will turn around for him.
Oh, I'm sure it'll turn around. So let's go ahead and just jump right into what happened last week. We'll start with my game, where I played Ariel, the number 1 ranked rest of season strength team. Or was the number 1 in the power rankings last week. So the total score came out 144 to 136. The game was pretty close, but the optimum is my team scored 191 total optimum, and his scored 167. So I definitely had a bad coach rating. I picked the wrong players and still won. You gotta love when that happens.
I mean, it's really just this Aaron Jones misplay, right? Over Ronald Jones.
Yeah, where I didn't play Ronald Jones, or I didn't play Aaron Jones. I played Ronald Jones instead. Yeah, I'm an idiot. Let's just get that out of the way. I tend to overthink every once in a while and make really stupid plays. But yeah, it was basically I could have played Aaron Jones over Ronald Jones, and I could have played Carlos Hyde over T.J. Hawkinson, or Royce Freeman over T.J. Hawkinson, and
Yeah, we all were so enchanted by the TJ Hawkinson
week
performance
1.
week 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then he comes up with 1 reception. Oof, jeez.
At least he had a reception. I mean, OJ Howard put up a total goose egg.
I
So
know.
you could have done worse.
Yeah. I think I got really lucky with Deshaun Jackson getting hurt like right in the beginning of that game.
Yeah, that affected Dylan too with Alshon Jeffrey. That was, as an attendant of that game live, it was one of the worst experiences to find out so quickly that like the star players that you want to see, like you paid to see, are out of this game. But Goddard and Jackson and Jeffrey by like the first snap, all done.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's so crazy.
It's so unfortunate.
Let's see here. Mike Evans on my team continues to underperform. And that's a pooper.
This is his week, though.
It's always his week. Well, he already played, didn't he? No, that was last week. That was
No.
Yeah.
He's not a Titan or a Jaguar,
Yeah.
luckily.
I was stupid. He played a Thursday night game last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. What about on the other side here? What could he have?
Well, so it burns when I pee. This is Ariel's roster.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really impressed by Lamar Jackson so far, and I didn't think he was going to be a good play in this league because of the rushing nerf.
Yeah.
And
sure.
he doesn't have the same ceiling that he would in like a normal Superflex league, but he's just that good. Like this offense is just that good. They're getting first downs. They're scoring. His passing game is really improved. So that's a major like lotto ticket, I think, that Ariel has.
A lot.
rest of the season.
But then again, I don't know, man. They played Miami and Arizona.
Yeah, those are the two easiest matchups they'll probably face all year. But now they play the Chiefs, and this
That's
game
another
is
easy
supposed.
one. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what you're saying is Ariel should probably try to trade Lamar Jackson away at this point.
Yeah, probably. Probably.
After this week.
Yeah. Maybe somebody will.
Trubisky, Mitch is awful.
Yeah.
I can't stand watching him. I'm really
So
depressed
bad.
about the Bears offense.
You know, I thought he would improve because he's always been this up and down player. You know, like he has this really good weeks and then just looks like crap. And that just started off both weeks he looks like crap. So who knows?
Yeah, they need to play Miami or something. That'll get him right.
Yeah. So yeah, I think he was really hurt by Robert Woods didn't do anything. DeAndre Hopkins, like I said, DeAndre Hopkins wouldn't have that stronger game against Jacksonville. And
Josh Jacobs seems pretty matchup dependent. You know, he's not going to have those kind of performances unless their team is leading.
do you know
He got.
do you know how when he got hurt in the game?
I don't think it was that early. It really wasn't an injury that kept his production reduced. He lost snaps to DeAndre Washington and Jalen Richard in passing situations. Like they had a lot of 2-minute, 4-minute drill where they had their third down backs in. I mean, Jacobs is a pass catcher, but these guys are like the pace guys who know how to block and pass protect.
So, if you're looking on the bench, as players that he could have played would have been Peyton Barber and Marquise Brown, right? Like those are the two guys that scored a good amount of points. But I don't think you're sitting DeAndre Hopkins. I don't think you're sitting Robert Woods. I mean, you could have made an argument that you could have started one of those guys again instead of Deshaun Jackson, but I personally would have started Deshaun Jackson too over those guys. So I don't know, man.
Yeah, I think he didn't coach this one poorly. It's just bad luck.
Yeah, it's just bad luck. That's really what it is. Let's move on to the next game. We got Elderly Gangbang versus Martial Law. Holden had a hell of a week. 200 points scored, 213 optimum. Rob had 150 points scored over 200 optimum. So Rob's team continues to be that optimum is really high. And this team is just really strong. I don't know how the algorithm is not giving him the number one rest of season strength. You know, with how much points his optimum has been the last 2 weeks.
I mean, where is he? Top 2? No, he's number 5. Interesting. Wonder if it's already weighing this Breeze injury into account.
That's probably what it is, right?
I would imagine, yeah, because that's basically just a dead roster spot at this moment.
Dang, he's number 5. That's crazy. Yeah. So, Breeze got hurt really early in that game with a thumb. It sucks to lose your quarterback, but let's say theoretically, even if Breeze was to put up 30 points, he still would have lost.
Yeah, taking a 0 from Jimmy Graham certainly did not help his situation, and that might have.
I think we can blame Dylan for that one. Because I remember, if you remember last week, our podcast, Dylan was saying that Minnesota defense gives up a lot of points to the tight end, and on week 1, Jimmy Graham looked like Aaron Rodgers' favorite target. But so, when you put the 2 and 2 together, if Minnesota gives up a lot of points to the tight end, they can't cover the tight end, and Jimmy Graham has been a great target for Aaron Rodgers starting the season with this new coach. You figured maybe he would do something, and then he gooses.
This whole matchup thing, gives up points to the tight end. Maybe it's scheme-based, but I take everything from last year and throw it out at the beginning of the season and, redevelop, how do you want to attack this defense? And Atlanta, when Minnesota played them, they didn't really – I mean, they couldn't move the ball at all. But it's not like Austin Hooper was some boon for them.
Yeah.
So I just don't see that this season they might be a defense that you want to attack with tight ends. But the other thing is Aaron Rodgers looks like a shell of his former self.
Yeah, he really
And
does.
I think Jimmy Graham's first week performance was a bit fluky, you know. I mean, he ended up with, what, 1 or 2 touchdowns? He's going to be touchdown dependent, and he's not really a focal point in this offense.
Yeah, he ended up with 1 touchdown. It's 3 receptions, 30 yards, 1 touchdown. Pretty mediocre
Yeah,
game.
can't bank on that
Yeah.
at any point. You know, volume is everything, and if he's not going to get consistent volume, then he's not startable. Especially when you pick up Terry McLaurin and then you don't play him, man. Terry McLaurin is the truth.
Yeah, but that's also like one of those rookies' first game out. Yeah, it's hard to say that, he's gonna do something.
Yeah, if you grab him though, I think you got to play him. I don't know. I mean, there are some wait and sees, but like, if this guy has that kind of ceiling, you know, he looks like the real deal.
Yeah, he does look really good. I mean, I haven't really watched his, like, sometimes when I'm looking for players, I go on the Game Pass and I look up all their plays and stuff. I haven't done that for Terry McLaurin yet. I probably should have. But
I guess the reason I'm really like laying into Rob about the Jimmy Graham pick is because it's flex. You know, I know we have this big tight end bonus, but tight end is still a dumpster fire. Like, nothing has changed. Like, tight ends are still inconsistent and really hard.
A 5 reception game for a tight end is huge in this league. It's just big.
Yeah.
You have 5 receptions and like 2-3 first downs.
But the volatility, I guess, is the thing that you really have to weigh in.
Yeah.
Like, there's few situations. It didn't work out for pretty much anyone last week. I think maybe I was the only one who started tight end in the flex. I don't even think I did.
I started tight end in the flex. Yeah.
Yeah, and how did TJ Hawkinson do for you?
Yeah. He sucked.
So
I may do it again this week too. I'm very undecided. I want you to help me weigh in on my roster decision this week.
all right, will do.
But yeah, man.
I just need a reason to give Rob some shit because he's been giving everyone else shit.
His team is good though. His team's so good.
Yeah.
It also depends on Mark Andrews staying hot fire, Kenny Galladay. Like, these players that we didn't think would perform are out here balling out, and that's what's keeping his team alive.
Yeah. Yeah, plus the fact that he has McCaffrey and Kamara.
Yeah,
Even though they didn't even have big weeks.
Yeah, they did nothing this week. So let's go with that in-house game, Dival Triangle game and Chalupa Batman. We can see right away that the game was super close, 4 points apart, and Dylan with the really bad coach rating, so he done goofed.
Yeah, this is just an injury rating, really. I can't fault him for any of the plays that he left on the board. Yeah, Calvin Ridley over Alshon Jeffrey, right? But you didn't know Alshon Jeffrey was going to be hurt. Yep. So you just get a goose egg there. And in theory, you're not really starting Ridley over Jeffrey at any point. Although I do like all receivers against our secondary right now, the Philadelphia secondary. So, but Jeffrey is the superior play.
And like, here's the thing too: is like, gotta play Baker Mayfield instead of Ben Roethlisberger. But I don't know if you make that decision or not.
No, I don't think so. Home against Seattle, Ben has a pretty high ceiling. I mean, that injury is just terrible luck, and he has two basically goose eggs that just happened serendipitously. So that has nothing to do with the coach, and unfortunately, that cost him the victory. Yeah, because it's not like Chalupa didn't have some great week that he couldn't have beaten.
She had just the average week for our league. It seems like just the slightly below average, the 140 points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Gurley had a decent game. Dalton's looking okay. The Texans' offense really sputtered. She had Deshaun Watson and Fuller, and they didn't combine for more than 22 points.
Case Keenum put up 22 points, so Case Keenum is looking good. And Emmanuel Sanders with the 11 receptions and the touchdown.
That's it. His second game in a row of over 25 points.
Dude's doing really well. Wonder if she starts him this week.
Yeah, over who though?
Yeah, Fuller.
Yeah, maybe. Or Diggs.
reception for 1 touchdown. Going over to Trophy Chaser versus House of Beer Prism. So, Trophy Chaser is Josh's team. We've been dumping on Josh this whole time. He has kept Adam Vinatieri as his kicker, even though his kicker scored 2 points and negative 1 point. The dude has gone up to kick 5 extra points and has only hit 2 of them. He's tried to kick 3 field goals and only made 1 of them.
Yeah. Adam Vinatieri needs to retire before this kind of shit happens.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he hasn't. But maybe we can help Trophy Chaser retire after this season, after we rag on him. No, not hopefully, but yeah.
See what we got here. So, where's this team failing at? Because it's really low. So the kicker is obviously the big one. He's got all these injuries. Hopefully they come back in time to help your team.
Yeah, I think he started LaShawn McCoy maybe a week too soon. McCoy's workload after week 1 wasn't guaranteed. Damian Williams is still the lead back there. You're kind of just hoping that he breaks a long one. Now would be the week to start McCoy now that Williams is suffering some kind of groin injury.
Still hurt? No, McCoy might have still been hurt.
Yeah, he had an ankle injury, but he was practicing this week, and Damian Williams wasn't. He has Watkins, and Watkins had all the targets in that game, but it was just DeMarcus Robinson and Mecole Hardman that got the touchdowns, and Kelsey. So the 3 other receivers not named Watkins all scored,
right?
Which won't happen every week. I think Jarvis is kind of dust. He is the second fiddle on that offense. But with Njoku...
Watkins still, though, it still has 13 targets, 11 targets on the first week and 13 targets on the second week. So he's still getting bombarded by passes.
Yeah. Spoiler alert when we talk about the upcoming matchup and Watkins is on the bench. Yeah, you don't want to do that when there's 13 targets going his way.
Yeah.
But this team is really thin in their bench too. He has 3 players that are out.
Yeah. All the players that he drafted that were already injured, and he drafted them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But Vance McDonald, though, blown up.
He had a big game.
So also big, just touchdowns, though. 7 receptions for 38 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We'll see what Mason Rudolph likes to do as a passer. It's going to be interesting because, sophomore quarterbacks sometimes like to lean on their bigger tight end targets. It's one of the things that they can do comfortably. So we'll see if Vance is a bigger role in this offense under Mason Rudolph.
And then on the other side, House of Priapism, 94% coach rating. There's not many.
166 is a middle of the road score, still pretty high, higher than most of the league averages. Yeah.
I don't know if there's anything that needs to be said about this one. Just played Antonio Brown, but now he does not have Antonio Brown anymore.
Yeah. How did he miss the optimum? Mecole Hardman over someone.
Damn.
He started 2 tight ends. That worked out pretty well for him. He's got 2 very consistent tight ends. Darren Waller and Zach Ertz.
Yeah, so that's going to be good for him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's had
the Gallup injury
to step up for Antonio Brown. But what was that?
Yeah,
about the Gallup?
Gallup is going to be out for a couple weeks.
Well, we'll see if he's going to make any moves on the waiver wire or not.
Yeah, Priapism, I don't know why he's ranked so low on the rest of the season roster because his team looks pretty solid. I guess it maybe you could drop Darrell Henderson. Oh, yeah, I see why. Darrell Henderson, Darwin Thompson, Tyreek Hill are all basically zeros on this.
Yeah.
Justin Jackson.
Just a 10-man league, 10-man team league, though, he can easily find somebody to replace those guys. That's the thing about these small leagues. Waiver wire always has talent.
Yeah, more talent at the wide receiver position than at the running back position. So I
Yeah.
guess he's smart to have a couple backups in the stable just in case.
So let's just go on right ahead to your game. It was the brotherly matchup game, Sean versus Kyle. You lost a mostly AFK auto draft team, and Breaker Chains. Um, you whooped them. I mean,
Yeah,
even
pretty solidly. Yeah.
his optimum would have been 193, your optimum 196. So you even had both of you played your best lineup, so would have came out ahead.
Well, that's comforting.
Um, got the big goose egg from OJ Howard though. That's what helped you out a bit.
Yeah, considering I have Kelsey coming back on the other side with 32.7 points, which
Yeah,
is
that's
why
right.
I paid $40 for him.
Yeah, and
Or 50.
Saquon had a pretty good game too.
Yeah, to me. That's where I expect Saquon to be every week, and that's what I hope buoys my team through.
What are you
Most of
gonna
the
do about your
volatility of the season.
quarterbacks? That's what I want to talk to you about. What are you gonna do about your quarterbacks?
What can I do? I just spent a third of my fab on Mason Rudolph as a Cam insurance play. I don't feel good about Cam, but he still has a bunch of weapons around him, and if he comes back healthy, I'll be willing to give him another
He
chance.
had 333 yards against Tampa Bay. Didn't score any touchdowns. I
Yeah,
wouldn't
this
think you
is
need
a
to be
theme.
worried, right? I don't think you need to be worried. Probably just some kind of
Yeah,
yeah.
the game is about volume, and like the reality is Carolina is passing the ball more than the Arizona Cardinals, or at least dropping back more than the Arizona Cardinals,
Yeah.
and they're paying it at the fastest pace of play. Carolina has a lot to love, and the touchdown thing is a thing that will bounce back at some point. So if Cam gets healthy, I guess that's the biggest concern, is that he won't really be healthy for any point in the season because he's already hurt entering it. And when does he have time to really recover?
So,
The Jameis thing,
yeah, what do you think about him not playing Chris Godwin?
oh man, it makes me sad because I really wanted Godwin, and I would have never sat Godwin, and I don't know why he would do that over. He does have a strong wide receiver core. Edelman, Keenan Allen, Brandon Cooks. I guess the Allen Robinson play is the one where I might have considered Godwin over him. I would have drafted Godwin and played him every single week. And week one isn't enough information to go off of to start sitting him based on all the reasons that we love him going into the season.
Yeah, these guys were so high on him, and then just put him on the bench. It felt weird to me.
I can't make him. I can't make the plays for him.
Hey, it's a close game. It's a close week. Again, those scores made us all come into 1-1 basically, other than Chalupa and Phillips Triangle. So let's go into this week. Start off with my game. I'm going up against Holden this week. Both 1-1 teams again, and he's gonna have that big game supposedly, right? Baltimore versus Kansas City on his side with Patrick Mahomes. Oh, I think I lost your camera feed, and you're back.
I have a bone to pick with Holden.
All right, go for it.
Don't start your Thursday players in your flex.
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna get some reverb. You need to put your pods back on.
You getting reverb? My pods died.
Oh, that's
Let me see if I can. You there?
Yep, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah. They're just being weird, I guess. Okay. Yes. So Holden, don't start your Thursday night players in your flex. If you're gonna go for Henry, put him in your running back spot. Give yourself an out in case you need to switch at some point during the week, or even like mid game, mid Sunday afternoon. If you're losing, you put in someone with the higher upside. If you're winning, you put someone in with the higher floor, like in Adrian Peterson. You could actually just swap between Adrian Peterson and Chris Thompson depending on like how your week is going. Not that you're gonna start them
I
over
mean, you could
Connor and
put
Mac.
Derrick Henry instead of Marlon Mack there, and then let's say Mack has got that question wondering, what if it does come up as something that he's not going to play this week?
Late scratch, yeah.
Yeah, you could have then chosen to play a wide receiver over there instead.
Exactly.
I think all his plays, other than that, though, have been pretty standard. I don't think I would have started anyone on his bench. You can make an argument for Russell Wilson over Aaron Rodgers since Aaron Rodgers hasn't been his best self lately. On my side, though, I had the T.J. Hawkinson on the flex again because Philadelphia has been giving up a lot of points through the air, and I don't know, man. What do you think? Do I play T.J. Hawkinson versus the Eagles, or do I put Kerryon Johnson? Because you guys have been stopping the run, the Eagles have been stopping the run, and you have not been stopping the pass. So that's my decision. I'm debating either playing Kerryon Johnson or Royce Freeman or T.J. Hawkinson.
I mean, from a way that you would attack the Eagles' point of view, it's not, our linebackers in coverage are better than our corners in coverage, and our safeties are better than our corners. And teams definitely love to pass on the Eagles secondary, but they love to target the outside and the boundary players a little bit more. I mean, a la Kevin Ridley, a la Julio Jones last week,
right.
So we're pretty weak there. I prefer receivers, like wide receivers, not tight ends. But that said, Hawkinson can operate as a receiver to some point. They do line him out pretty wide.
Right. Man, I don't know. I'm having a hard time here. And
yeah, I wouldn't play a road like dog. So Kerryon Johnson, they travel to Philadelphia, and they're not favored to win this game. It's really hard to play a running back on a team that isn't favored in an away situation.
Yeah. And my sneaky play here has been Carlos Hyde. I actually been really high on Carlos Hyde lately. I've been watching those Texans games, especially last week. They fed him a lot. He's getting a lot of first downs for them. He's playing against the Chargers, who's been giving up a lot of yards on the ground. But I had a bad dream. I had a dream that Carlos Hyde got injured this game. I don't know. I just last night just woke up. Just woke up with Carlos Hyde getting a little hip pointer.
It's highly possible. He's an old man.
Yeah. Who do you think is going to take this one?
The matchup? Yeah. On paper, it has to be you.
Yeah, I think so too.
Projections have you at 160 optimum over his 148. I think the fact that Henry has already kind of underperformed helps your cause. And I'd say you're pretty even at the wide receiver front, but you have an advantage at running back a little bit. If Mac is hurt and we don't know what the James Conner production will be in the Mason Rudolph offense.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You never know. Maybe they start feeding James Conner the ball a lot.
Yeah, maybe they just lean on him. Yeah, it's possible. But the uncertainty leans your way.
Let's go on over to Sean versus House of Priapism here. Sean's definitely got a much higher optimum projection than House of Priapism. They didn't have any Thursday night games players that they started. Mariota was on the bench, which rightfully so. I don't think we should have started Mariota there. No reason to.
Yeah, that was smart. The 20 points out of Mariota, though, is impressive.
It is. It really is. I don't even know. I don't even know. I'm trying to think of possible little tweaks that can make to the quarterback position. Maybe start giving him a little bit more points for first downs and maybe a penalty for getting sacked. You know, to try to even those out. Because Mariota did not play well. I mean, his team only scored 7 points last game.
Yeah, he threw for 304 yards. I mean, it wasn't completely his fault that they didn't score a second touchdown. Mike Vrabel at the last moment made him go for it on fourth. They should have had at least a field goal there.
Yeah.
They had a couple other red zone opportunities, but that team it sucks donkey dick.
Yeah. And on the House of Priapism side, he's going to start Darwin Thompson in the flex, it looks like.
Yeah, this is crazy. So, Gary, I'll say this to you directly. Your favoritism of the Chiefs offense, although historically has been pretty beneficial, at this point you're just kind of point chasing, especially with Demarcus Robinson. You spent a third of your fab on him. He's not even the most targeted receiver. I think McCole Hardman actually has had more targets than him. So what you're chasing with Robinson is efficiency. I don't see a situation where Robinson and Hardman and Thompson can all go off. You're kind of hamstringing your own team.
It's also, Philly Ficker is predicting rain in that game too. Just not really a good thing for a high-powered passing offense. Normally slows things down a bit. I don't know, man. Just putting all-in play on the Kansas City Chiefs, whereas Sean's got great matchups on the other side. I'm gonna give it to Sean.
Yeah, I give it to Sean as well.
Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. We got Chalupa Batman versus you, Breaker Chains. Chalupa already had a player play. It said Leonard Fournette started, got 13.7 points, pretty above average, or about average.
It's funny because he hit his exact projection for this game.
Right? That's crazy. But she also did the same thing. She started running back in the flex, Thursday night running back in the flex.
What are you guys doing? Got to coach these kids.
Amateurs.
Yeah, you got to give yourself an out later in the week. Man, I'm glad that Fournette did not overperform in this game, though, because they really did the Titans, and it could have been much worse.
You're projected much higher than she is, and I can see why. I mean,
yeah,
your quarterbacks have good matchup. Her quarterbacks have bad matchups.
Yeah,
your running backs are just better than hers.
The only reason I'm nervous is because I really don't like the Minnesota passing offense. If there's one time I would start Kirk, it would definitely be against Oakland at home.
Mm-hmm. Man.
Yeah, I know. My team's good. You don't.
Yeah, your team is really good. And she's got Emmanuel Sanders on the bench again, so...
Yeah, who are you going to have her start him over, though? Maybe Fournette. Oh, too late.
Nah, there's nobody considering that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's hard to... I probably definitely would have started him over Will Fuller.
Yeah, the thing is she has this Watson stacks. If Watson has a good game, throws it to Fuller, she double dips on touchdowns, that Fuller gets, which I think is a smart strategy, but yeah, you can't let that weigh heavily if there's just a superior play on the board.
She also got Marvin Jones on the bench too.
Oh yeah,
against the Eagles.
They have a real nice matchup.
Yeah, super nice matchup. Yeah, I don't know. I just think I think your team has more upside, for sure.
Yeah, I feel like it's really challenging actually for Chalupa to play the right way, given that she has 5 good options, and I think overthinking that will be part of her downfall.
Yeah, let's move on to the next one. The Burns 1IP against Trophy Chasers. Walker had 17.9 points on a Thursday night game for the tight end spot. That's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. So he's already started with a leg up, and he was already projected to beat Trophy Chasers. Trophy Chasers is going one more week with Adam Vinatieri. So that's still there. Here's a good one. Nelson Aguilar. When he's the only wide receiver on that team where everybody else is hurt, I think that's it's probably a good start. Sterling Shepard is back.
Yes, back from concussion protocol.
But here we go. Vance McDonald and Sammy Watkins on the bench. Jarvis Landry on the bench.
Yeah, that's crazy. Considering you have Sterling Shepard and Mohamed Sanu, like don't even overthink it. Look at the projections, my friend.
Yeah.
They have Watkins projected for 17.4. I don't know if this is like a matchup thing with Watkins. See the Baltimore brand name, like, oh, Baltimore defense, they're good. Like maybe you don't want to start. Was good. Also, another thing, defense does not matter. Like especially when it comes to star players on like when they're the number one options on great passing offenses.
Yeah,
like, it doesn't matter. Also, Baltimore's secondary is hurt. Like Jimmy Smith is out. They have like 3 cornerback injuries. So receivers have been eating on them.
Listen, Sammy Watkins has 24 targets in 2 weeks. Just start him. just start him, okay? Put him in the starting
Josh,
lineup.
we hope you get this before the week starts.
Seriously, start Sammy Watkins. You can take any player other than Julio Jones out of the lineup. But seriously, Sterling Shepard, first game back from an injury against Tampa Bay, who has been playing really well. Don't do it. Don't do it. Just take him out.
Yeah.
Put Sammy Watkins.
You don't even know who Daniel Jones is yet. He could be terrible.
I actually think he's going to be really good.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We don't have enough like NFL tape on him to really evaluate. I'm taking a wait and see approach with Daniel Jones.
I think it's going to be really good. I think he's going to be the best quarterback drafted in this draft.
Well, there weren't very many good quarterbacks drafted, so. Yeah.
But
But Kyler.
We did have a quarterback drafted number 1 overall, though.
Kyler looks pretty good.
Kyler is going to be good. Yeah, sure. But I still think Daniel Jones is going to end up being the best. So it burns 1IP versus. I think we're just giving it to him, right? Like, there's no way Josh wins this game.
Speaking of Daniel Jones, he's starting him this week over Trubisky.
Wait. What? Why? Why? Why are you doing this? Oh,
Didn't you just say you were super high on him?
Yeah, but don't start him on his first game away at Tampa Bay, who has been playing really well.
That's what I'm saying.
Don't do it. Don't do it. It's the first game, man.
Yeah.
I'm over here talking shit when I'm doing the same exact thing in the dynasty. I don't know. You can probably find someone else.
He'll be okay. I mean, he's got Lamar at KC. That game should be a shootout. Ezekiel Elliott home against Miami. Oh my God, I couldn't find a better matchup.
No, seriously, start Trubisky.
Yeah,
start Trubisky.
His receivers are all fine.
Start Trubisky. He can't look awful every single game. He's gonna come out and Monday night against Washington. That should be a good game. Just start Trubisky.
Yeah, this team is obviously going to win this matchup, and I am a bit nervous about it. A season long too. Like if Marquise Brown and Lamar Jackson really are having this kind of connection, I'm a bit afraid of this team. It has some real explosive potential.
Absolutely terrifying. Let's go on to the next game. There's no reason to spend that much time on that game. It's going to be a blowout, I think. So last game, Martial Law versus the Devil's Triangle.
You think it's going to be a blowout?
Well, it burns on IP against Trophy Chasers?
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's gonna be a blowout. Got it. Yeah. That's why we're moving on from that one.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, Martial Law versus Devil's Triangle. This is going to be a really close game. I think this is the highest projected game, and this is my game of the week right here. For sure. We got to see if the commish can pull in his first W this week. And it's going to be a very hard matchup. And Rob just absolutely crushes them every time they play. Just Rob destroys them. Like, if you look at the record book, just Rob, he just owns Dylan. Just owns his soul.
Not this week. Dylan's got really strong matchups across the board. People aren't talking enough about the passing attack against Miami, but most of these teams are scoring at will, and Amari Cooper gets a matchup against Miami with no Michael Gallup to take any targets away from him. I think Cooper's going to have a massive game. I think Minnesota home against Oakland is a really nice spot for Thielen. Obviously, Eckler at home. Like, look at all these home matchups that he has, especially he's got Cook home against Oakland. He's got Eckler home against Houston. Rivers on that same matchup. The Browns host the Rams. Evan Ingram is the only one playing away, but Evan Ingram, and I don't know what his connection with Daniel Jones is going to be, but it's if anything like what Eli had with him, Ingram's going to see a ton of work. The only real question mark here is David Montgomery.
I think that's
over some of the other options that he has.
I think that's safe. David Montgomery got fed the ball last week. He wasn't very efficient with it, but he did get almost 20 touches.
Yeah, I mean, he's certainly not going to start Freeman over him. Freeman hasn't done anything to warrant that. You can't start Latavius Murray. Alshon Jeffrey's probably still hurt. The only real question mark is DK Metcalf or David Montgomery. And Metcalf has a higher projection.
I mean,
and this is the thing.
An argument for Austin Hooper.
Yeah, you can make an argument for Hooper. This is where, when we're talking about keeping the flex open, this is the perfect situation. So Dylan can say, let's see how we're doing after the 1 o'clock games. He's got like 5 or 6 players going. Martial Law has a bunch more, and I think he has 6. If he's losing and not meeting his projections, and Martial Law is overshooting his projections, he can switch. He can drop DK Metcalf in there, who has a higher ceiling.
You think so?
Than David Montgomery? Yeah. I mean, he's a receiver who catches long balls. The only routes he runs are long balls. If he gets 2 of them for a touchdown, like, he has a 30-point ceiling.
Yeah, but, I mean, let's just say the Chicago offense can actually run the ball against Washington Redskins. I don't think that's going to be out of the question, right? They get 4 yards per carry, 4.5. He gets 20 touches again, sees some targets. We can usually be seeing a 22-point game.
Yeah, I think it's just on like a per play efficiency. Like, David Montgomery can get there, but he's going to use like 16 to 20 touches to get there, right? Like, he's not going to get there on efficiency alone. He'll need 2 goal line touchdowns and 100 yards to really.
Which can easily happen. That's what I'm trying to say. I think that's more likely than DK Metcalf just getting 2 touchdowns on 2 deep bomb passes, which is what would have to happen on an offense that doesn't like throwing the ball.
You're not taking into consideration, though, that to get there, that's a perfect storm, right? I guess my point is DK Metcalf can get there on 2 plays, and David Montgomery will get there on 15. And he also has a chance of getting vultured for touchdowns and receptions by 2 running backs on his own team.
Right. I still think David Montgomery is the safer play, but I can definitely see the argument.
It is the safer play, but it's not the ceiling play.
Okay.
If you're losing bad and you need someone to have a 40-point week, I'd rather have Metcalf.
Yeah. What do we got going on the other side of the ball? A lot of Qs on over Rob's side.
Yeah, he's got Dak Prescott, one of the hottest quarterbacks to start this league, going up against the easiest matchup that every team will have all week,
Yeah.
all year.
He's got Jay Brown's starting over McLaurin. Huh? We were just talking about this. Nobody's starting McLaurin, but McLaurin is playing against the Bears, so.
Yeah, yeah. I don't blame him for doing that.
But he
Kenny
does have
Galladay's in a really sweet
Greg
spot.
Olson against Arizona, though. Arizona is 32nd in everything against the tight end.
Yes, Arizona isn't historically bad at defending the tight end. They are this season sample like bad at guarding the tight end.
Yeah. Okay. I get it. I get it. Two tight ends. Man, I don't know. I think Dylan starts out 0-3.
This one could go either way. I think the biggest weak spot he has here is Kamara. As you know, what happens without Breeze here, because it did not look good against the Rams. Although I would say that the Rams are much superior defense than the Seahawks are. Kamara wasn't getting the targets that he usually would from Breeze. Like Teddy didn't seem to want to check down to him, and so hopefully they can fix some of that this week. But I'm a bit nervous about Kamara's outlook. And that's the only thing I think holding this team back from total domination.
Yeah. Man. Oh, this is a really hard one. This is a really hard one because on one hand, I think that Rob's team has been overperforming with these lower tier guys stepping up. Mark Andrews, Kenny Galladay, John Brown. These guys weren't supposed to be good and they have been good. So there's that fear of regression there. But I don't know, man. It's so hard to bet against them.
Yeah, I like both teams pretty equally, and so do the projections. I think it's really hard for a team to go 0-3 in football, though. Like, stuff has to bounce your way at some point. So I'm putting my money on the Devil's Triangle this week.
I'm gonna stick with Martial Law.
All right, I got your back, Dylan.
Sorry, Dylan. Yeah. So let's just wrap it up here. Let's see. Just make a quick summary. I think I'm gonna start 2-1. Make Holden go 1-2. Said Sean was gonna be House of Priapism, right? And so that's another 2-1 and 1-2 matchup there. I think Breaker of Chains, you're gonna come out ahead of Chalupa Batman. So first loss for Chalupa Batman, which means nobody will be undefeated after this week, if that's correct.
Mm-hmm.
Burns When I Pee will absolutely blow out Trophy Chasers. And then the real close ones, oh man, Martial Law wins and Dylan loses for the 0-3 team.
For the sake of Dylan's sanity, I really hope he doesn't go 0-3.
Me too. Has he come out with a beatdown video this week?
Not yet. I think he might have been scared off.
Oh man, I love those. I love watching those.
Yeah, don't believe in bad luck. Just do it.
And you have anything you want to talk about, or scoring rules, or how you're liking it or not liking it?
Yeah, I guess I really just want to get still.
Still want to get rid
Next
of the
year.
kickers?
Still want to get rid of kickers. I find it totally pointless.
I think it's such a balanced position, though.
I like it. The scoring for it is fine if we're like forced to do it, but I don't know. It's still one of those things where I kind of want to stream every week, and positions where I just want to stream every week, I want to get rid of because I don't know. It's actually, to me, it's just too much work at some point. Like I'm in a couple leagues still with defenses too, and I started the Titans D, and they only put up a point, and I'm tired of the volatility of the position and the fact that I have to like manage my waiver or free agency, however I want to pick them up every week, especially when I'm playing like 4 or 5 leagues.
Yes, it is. I think that's like streaming is a pain in the butt when you have a lot of leagues. When you only have
Yeah.
like 1 or 2 leagues streaming, it's easy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's work every single week for me to
Yeah.
do that. And I got to move off of Elliott because he's not performing. So I'm like, who the fuck do I grab at kicker? But
Damn. Man.
yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
What about second superflex without instead of quarterback kicker? So now you have like 3 superflexes, but with 2 of them you can start quarterback and the other one you can start a kicker. Bah, bah,
Oh my
bah.
god, that's crazy. It's an interesting idea. I mean, for people who like kickers, I'll give it to you.
Yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to cover, man?
No, I'm good.
All right. Thank you again
Best of luck.
for coming in. That was awesome. Real quick,
Yeah, man.
step it up and I'll stop on the spot.
We're working overtime. We're working Saturday mornings to bring you content.
Yeah, content that probably 2 people will watch.
Hey, I'll take it. Better than no people.
All right. Well, thanks again. You guys have a good one. Thank you, everybody who stayed up and watched. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Yeah, later.